So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be? Or in other words, conquer their dyslexia. That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast. Hi guys, I hope you're doing alright. I'm so excited to talk to you about step 12. The 12 steps to conquer 12 is realize dyslexia is a gift. And if you really understand the power of this step, this will truly mean more than all the other steps combined. Because this step is so important, and if you know in step 11 I talked about the differences between like these last two steps and the first 10 steps, and the difference is the first 10 steps is about taking responsibility of your life, about realizing taking responsibility and learning skills to really master your life, learning skills to how to turn your sort of like your struggles into like a little bit of advantage and mindset shifts. But these next two steps is about realizing that dyslexia is a gift in your life. And step 11 was understanding that logically it's a gift in your life. And this one is about realizing it. There's a big difference between understanding it and realizing it's a gift. Because understanding that dyslexia is a gift is intellectual, completely intellectual. Because I remember when I was in my dyslexic school, there's posters of Albert Einstein, there's posters of Tom Cruise everywhere, like famous dyslexics. If you don't know like how many famous people are dyslexic, there's loads of them. Just do a Google search. There's loads of people, amazing examples of famous people that are dyslexic. There are famous people who have came out or know that themselves that they are dyslexic. I would argue there's loads of famous people, loads of successful people who, one, don't know they're dyslexic, or two, know they're dyslexic and don't want to tell anyone because they're scared that other people think of them differently. So today is about realizing it's a gift, not understanding intellectually, because I was at my school, I understood it, but I didn't feel it in my I didn't feel it in my stomach, I didn't feel it in my system. Because I remember once I was in basically one-to-one meeting with this person, what's her name? Ziggy. And Ziggy, that's the first time, I don't know her second name, but Ziggy, she was amazing, a bit wacky person, but she was amazing. I was doing a one-to-one with her. I was quite young at the time, and she was doing stuff, and she asked me, Theo, if you had 3 wishes, Genie came out of the lamp and said, I'll give you 3 wishes, they could be whatever you want, what would they be? And I was like, I really was like, oh, this is a big question. I want to give really big answers to this. So I thought, okay, what's the best answer that could have the biggest impact and help most people if I could have anything that I wanted? I was like, ooh. And I thought about it, I was like, solve world hunger. And like, that was the first one. Second was like, solve world peace. And I was thinking about all these big things I thought would be amazing. And I was like, okay, that's really good. And so like, one more, what's your third one? And then I was thinking, oh my God, it's so obvious. I wish I didn't have dyslexia. And me knowing, because at the time, a goal for myself, but I sort of knew that dyslexia was a disadvantage back then. That was what I was thinking. I was thinking that back then, dyslexia was a disadvantage. Yes, I knew that there's famous people that are dyslexic, but I ultimately knew I was in a special needs school, having their help and treated differently than normal people. So that's why I felt like it was a disadvantage. And that's how I felt. No matter what people were saying to me, no matter what I logically understood, I didn't feel it as a gift in my life. And so as time went on, it still went for the same thing. And as you know, I went through my sixth form, went through my story of my story of hating it, like going to my sixth form, feeling no confidence, feeling like having all the dyslexic struggles, not be able to talk to people, having crippling shyness when people used to look at you. When you used to go in class, I wouldn't have a clue what was going on. I felt completely lost and completely, alone. Up to the point where I realised I had to take responsibility for my life. and went off this massive journey on taking responsibility of working incredibly hard, of getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning, do this, this thing in the morning that I still do a version of today, and doing all these things to try and improve my confidence, and then it was my fitness, and then eventually, after loads of changing beliefs, it was my English. And then I was doing all this stuff, and I remember it so clearly. This is just after I got my C in English, which seemed unbelievable in my second year of sixth form, and improved it like so much. And I had all these exciting ideas, all these exciting things I was planning to do. I was thinking to myself, I'm excited to do all these things. I was thinking to myself, I'm so excited to go home like every day to work on these bits and bobs that I'm really excited with. But my friends and people I grew up with, like from my dyslexia school, couldn't wait to go to the pub at the weekend. Couldn't wait, wait for Friday. So, why is that so much different? Why don't they want to party and get drunk, and I want to work on these things? Yes, I wanted to do these things as well, but I was really excited every single day to go home and to work on myself. I was thinking, I thought of that because I thought like I wanted to work on myself because I got obsessed with development. I was thinking that at the time. I was walking the dog. I was like, okay, why did I get obsessed with personal development and they didn't? Okay, I got obsessed with personal development because I saw this big guy, Tony Robbins, say the only way to change your life is to take responsibility of your life. I was like, okay, if he said that, and you mean penetrated me in a certain way, and I felt like, compared to everyone else, it's like, okay, I had that moment. Like, that's why I'm, obsessed with personal development, and they're not. I was like, okay, what made me click on that video of Tony Robbins saying you have to take responsibility of your life? And I was wondering that. I was like, okay, why was I there and why aren't other people at that point? I was like, I was watching those videos because I wanted to improve my confidence. I wanted to improve my confidence because, because I had all these struggles in school. Struggles of not being able to speak to everyone. Struggles like not having a clue what's going on in class. Feeling like I'm not good enough. Feeling like I'm not good socially. And all these problems. That's why I was working on improving it. Then I asked the fundamental question. I remember I asked the question and instantly came up with my answer. Have you ever things where you answer a question and before you finish asking the question in your head, you're like, I know the answer already. And I was thinking this, and then I asked, why did I have these problems? And the answer was immediate, and I got emotional. I asked these problems. I asked this, and I was like, I have these problems because of dyslexia. Oh my God, dyslexia means I am who I am now. If I didn't have the problem, if I didn't have dyslexia, which resulted me in having the problems in the dyslexia in the sixth form, which resulted me to watching the video of Tony Robbins, which resulted in me to improve my confidence, which resulted in me to improve my English, and then doing all these amazing things. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have dyslexia. And then I was walking the dogs. It was like at the start of the walk, I got emotional. I was like, it seemed unbelievable because up to that point, I always hated having dyslexia. I always thought it was a disadvantage in my life. I always thought it was negative. It was holding me back. And I thought I did all these things despite having dyslexia. And then I realised the truth. The truth was I did all these things because I have dyslexia. And that changed everything. In that moment, I changed my dyslexia from being a negative to being a gift in my life. Not because you don't know the research and it gives you these strengths and blah, 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 blah. No, because I know it got me here in my life right now. It's a part of me. That's why I love it. That's why I think it's a gift in my life. And me feeling that has opened me up to so much more than I could ever imagine. Not in terms of doing or knowledge or this, but in terms of appreciation of myself. In terms of understanding of myself. In terms of caring or loving for myself. It sounds, I don't like talking about it, it sounds cheesy. But actually loving yourself. So many dyslexics go through school having beat down after beat down after beat down. Learning to never love themselves because they think they're not enough. That's horrible. Because they think they're always a bit behind. They have to work a bit harder to do things because they don't appreciate themselves. All this other stuff. And that's why, because it's so fulfilling to have dyslexia now, because I ultimately know I have loads of struggles. Yes, I have loads of struggles, and other people may not have the same struggles. I just came back. I've been working in basically schools now, back to schools because the whole corona thing. But back working in a school now. Our school there's in year 1, and there's 30 kids. Then that I don't know any of the names. I would remember them one name and like know their name 1 second, and the next second I wouldn't, and all the other teachers would know, and I have to do all these tasks like go through their drawers and all this sort of stuff. I haven't got a single clue what I'm doing, and it's annoying, yes, it's frustrating, yes, I don't understand it, but I ultimately know, yes, it's frustrating, but this is somehow a gift in my life because this is hard, and therefore I have strength to do something else. Because it educates people about dyslexia, and because I'm bad at this one thing, I know I'll be better with other things down the road. You just have to accept the parcel, and it's not it's what you do to it that makes it. Because I remember, this is a little bit not related. When I was doing my lifeguard job, boring thing in the world. If you're in a boring swimming pool for 8 hours, you're sitting there on a chair for 8 hours doing nothing, looking at people swimming up and down. That's not interesting, and. Like, I used to think, oh, this job's really boring, but then I realised it is what you make of it. You can either sit there watching the people swim up and down for 8 hours and thinking you're bored out of your mind, or you can get up and because we had a little cleaning, you can get up and clean absolutely everything, or you can set a goal of saying hello to everyone who walks in, or you can talk to people, or you can count people, or you can play little games in your head. And I remember when I used to do lifeguarding, I used to sweat. Because you go up and down cleaning not 24/7, but the full 8 hours. I was like, okay, let's not sit in my chair as much as possible. Let's move. Let's be active. And with doing that, the time went by so fast. I actually enjoyed doing it, even though like the ultimate job is incredibly boring. But you enjoy doing it because you find things to do. It is what you make of it. It's the same with the dyslexia challenges. It is what you can be a game, or can be positive, or sometime down the line it will be for your benefit. It's how you think of it. And I play that game with myself all the time. All the time. And things are bad when when I'm trying to do something on the computer and I want it to be ready by tomorrow, and I told everyone it'll be ready by tomorrow, and it makes no sense like today. It's a game. It's just a game you play, and it's hard game to make it fun, but you have to realise it and you have to move forward on it. And I ultimately want people to realise in this step, I move tangents, but in this step 12, realising that dyslexia is a gift to your life, is realising, having a belief that everything happens for a reason. Why believe that? Because life's too goddamn short. Because let me tell you something. How life works, for example, when people say, oh, this year's gone so fast, oh, this week's gone so fast. If a person's 50 years old and saying this year's gone so fast, and a person's 20-year-old saying this year's gone so fast, I guarantee you the 50-year-old, the year would have gone a lot faster than it would the 20-year-old. Actually, probably gone double amount faster. Because I would argue that our experience of life, our sort of like the time of life, is kind of down to our experience of it. For example, if we're 1 year old, we lived a year of life, or another year of life to get 2 years old. That means 1 year is the same time as our lifetime. That means going from 1 year experiences the whole of our lifetime. And that's, a lot to experience. It's a lot, because a whole day, I remember when I was a kid, a whole day seemed like forever. It seemed like absolutely forever. And every little bit, little kids, they would cry, think the world's coming to the end, and the next second they're happy. And time and emotions move them really, really, really fast. And everything happens really, really fast for them because everything's new. I think exciting in the day seem a lot longer. But as we get older and our experience day after day after day after day, our experiences of it would have it shorter. It's like, have you ever seen a film and seen the film from start to finish? You've seen the film once, you go, oh, that's amazing, and you watch the film 3, 4, 5 times. Does the film seem to be shorter or longer? It gets a bit shorter. It seems like it's shorter. It seems like you've seen this over and over again. It's shorter. It doesn't seem as long because you've watched it a lot of times. You know what's going to happen. And it's the same thing with days. You had days again and again and again. They can fly by because our experience of life is. We've had a more experience of it. Therefore, it's quicker. I don't know how to explain it properly, but that's why. So basically, In the book, there's so many stories about how dyslexia is a gift. I want to tell you one more. I remember, so basically when I wanted to do these things, I was writing my book and I was speaking to someone, I was personal training at the time. I was speaking to someone who was the deputy head of a school. I was like, I want to do volunteering in the school. And I didn't say volunteering, I just said about all my dyslexia stuff I'm doing and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'd love to come in any way to help. So I started volunteering in school. I remember the first day I volunteered, I was in a class. And in the class, you can sit here and the chat teachers and all, and they're very nice. I remember I sat in a class, I'm sat at a table with like 6 kids. I just sat there and the class was going on. And I could see the kid to the left of me was writing, and his handwriting was scribbly. And then I was like, because in my head I always look for people that are dyslexic, so I was like, I want to change their lives. So I went to them, this person that was scribbling, and I was like, oh, how's it going? What are you writing? He looked at me like, oh, I got the worst handwriting in the class. Like really, you mean like not enjoying it? And I was like, are you sure you have the worst handwriting in the class? He's like, yeah. And I said, I bet you don't. I was like, well, yeah. I was like, well, have you seen my handwriting? I was like, no. So I pulled out my book, right, because a little notebook where I keep everything in. Helped me tremendously. I turned through the pages, and all the pages had scribbles after scribbles after scribbles of crazy alphabet that I would jot down all the time, and I would compare that to his work, and I would say, who's worse, me or you? And then he was like, well, to be honest, he said, well, I'm worse, but everyone at the table thought my handwriting was worse, and I knew mine was worse because I just do it. And I was like, okay, let's test. Tell me something I should write. I was like, hi, my name's Theo or whatever. He was like, hi, my name's, let's call him Callum. Hi, my name's Callum. So we wrote our names down, and then we went through the people on the table. It was like, whose handwriting's worse? And they all said mine, which it was. And this is when, this is in the middle of when the lesson's going on, by the way. But I was doing all this. And it's like, oh, really? I've got dyslexia, that's why I write bad. Do you have dyslexia? And I was like, oh, I have dyslexia, it's amazing, isn't it? He said, no, I don't like having dyslexia, it's not that good. I was like, really? But you know dyslexics people can do things that other people can't do? And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, really? I was like, yeah, because I explained this one. I was like, yeah, because dyslexic people can see 3D images and rotate 3D images around in our mind so much more better than anyone else. He's like, no, I don't believe you. I was like, okay, I'll prove it. Okay. I was like, okay, follow along. So in the middle of the class was happening. But I was like, okay, what's your favourite cake, Callum? I was like, oh, my favourite cake is chocolate cake. I was like, okay, I want you to close your eyes and imagine a slice of chocolate cake on a plate. So he closed his eyes and he imagined it like looking from like a sort of like an angle, looking from like, you mean a top-down angle. He's like, okay, I can imagine a cake. I can imagine the bit of the crust and a bit of creamy, like one small slice and the plate and stuff. I was like, okay, you can imagine it? He nodded his head. He was like, yes, I can imagine it. And I said, okay, I want you to rotate the cake so you're looking at it. No, sorry, rotate your view, not the cake. So you rotate your view, so you're looking at it from like, basically all the way from the other end of the room. So he would rotate his images to a slightly different bit of the crust, slightly different bit of like, you mean the cake slugs. And he was like, okay, I'm there. I was like, great, look at it from underneath. And then he saw it from underneath. Okay, rotate so you're looking at it from a bird's eye view down, so you just see you in the triangle bit. It was like, okay, I'm there. And we did this about 5-6 times on different places. And then I asked him to open his eyes. He was like, he opened his eyes. And I was like, then I said to him, only a dyslexic person can do that. No other people can do that. And he looked at me with astoundment. He was like, no way, you're lying. I was like, I'm not lying. And at this point, everyone on the table, the 6 people at the table, were staring at me. What's this new person came in and doing? And I was like, I'll prove it to you. So I went around and I pulled the kid next to him and wanted to try it. I was like, okay, close your eyes. What's your favourite cake? You mean like, I forgot his favourite cake to be honest, but let's say chocolate cake. Okay, close your eyes. Imagine a chocolate cake. You're looking down at chocolate cake. Okay, you can see the image? Yes, you can see the crust. Yes, you can do that. Okay, rotate the image so you're looking at it from the other end of the room. I can't do that. I can't rotate the image. I really wanted him to try and do it, but he couldn't. He couldn't rotate the image. And then I went around to everyone else on the table, and they couldn't rotate the image. And I looked at him, Callum, and I was like, see, I told you so. He looked at me and said, oh my God, I love having dyslexia. and it had been on his face. I worked at school for a bit longer. It was in year 5 and then year 6. I went through year 6, and he always had that saying like, dyslexia is amazing. Like, I love having dyslexia because of that one experience of the unique thing that he could do. And by the way, guys, I got it from there's a dyslexia book called The Gift of Dyslexia. It's amazing. One of the first dyslexia book I actually read. It was an audiobook. But I told you about this. I was like, it's amazing. So I tried it out myself, and I've tested it on loads of other people. It's absolutely amazing. It feels so wonderful and so good about yourself. And that's the power of dyslexia. And once you realise it as a gift, and like, one thing I want to finish off with is that, you know Albert Einstein, don't you? You know he's dyslexic. If you don't know, well, he's dyslexic. And so they say, oh, he's dyslexic. And like, I think Albert Einstein didn't become Albert Einstein despite his dyslexia. He became Albert Einstein because of his dyslexia. Let me tell you what I mean, because a lot of his ideas fester from when he was a human, basically going through school. And one time he was in this maths class, like complex maths class, and he was bored out of his mind, like learning something. I have no idea, but he was bored out of his mind, and so he was like daydreaming. And then basically he asked himself a series of questions, and he was daydreaming. He looked at a clock and he saw the second hand of the clock go by, and he asked himself, "Is the second clock? Is that like?" He asked himself, "Is that the actual time going by? Is that actual time going by?" And it was like, "Is that?" Oh, I forgot what he said. But the first question was like, "How do I know what time it is?" Look at the clock and you see the time going from second to second to second. It's like, okay, that's what time is. And then he was like, okay, if that's time, is the time on the clock, the actual seconds would move from second to second to second, or what happens if I slow down time? For example, if I slow down time, I can see the second hand move from second to second to second. And to be honest, I'm really sorry. You have to get the Conquer Dyslexia book. Conquer Dyslexia book. Get it complete for free at conquerdyslexia.net/book. Tells you all this detail. But he asked himself a series of questions where he basically came up with the theory of relativity. Where basically he would see the second hand and say, what happens if I travel to the clock at the speed of light? Then would I actually see the time moving from second to second? Then he asked, well, what happens if I travel faster than the speed of light? Then he would actually see the clock moving backwards. I'm doing a complete injustice. It's explained a lot better in the book. But that's how he came up with the basic, like Newman, just questions in his mind he would ask. But the thing is, only a dyslexic person would ask those questions, because those are, very pictorial. The thing with Albert Einstein, he came up with loads of thought experiments and all this stuff, but he wouldn't be who he is without dyslexia. If he didn't have dyslexia, he would just not be a genius as he is now, or as he was. And that's the power of dyslexia. And this step 12 is so powerful. And I really want you, because wherever you are, you probably listen to these and probably you want to like improve your dyslexia, or you know someone, you want to help them. The last two concepts maybe think, oh yes, that's nice, but I don't understand it. I don't know, I don't know what to do. In the book, there's step-by-step processes on how to actually go back to not achieve, but actually realise that dyslexia is a gift in your life. And I really want you to say that this can move forward, that this is something achievable and something I need to work towards, something that I need to keep in my mind, keep asking myself the questions, keep wanting to obtain, realising dyslexia is a gift. Because once you do, and once you know because it is 100% achievable, and if you don't think it is, you're lying. You're wrong, basically. And it is 100% achievable to realise dyslexia is a gift in life. And if you don't think dyslexia is a gift, well, I would suggest that you work harder on making it a gift. So yeah, guys, I really hope you realise that. And this last step in the book, if he explains it really good, and I want to do is to add value to you and for you to really get the book. Because I really feel it's unlike anything else out there in the dyslexic community. And finally, guys, what I say in the book, and always what I say when I come to the end of anything, don't let this be the end of your education. Because if you listen to this, you probably listen to a lot of other stuff. Don't let this be the end of your education, of your progress moving forward, of your time. Don't let this be the end. Because it's about consistent growth, because if you just work out for a week and then think you'll be fit, no. If you just get fit once, you won't stay fit for the rest of your life. If you work on your dyslexia once, and doesn't mean it'll be perfect for the rest of your life. You have to be consistent, work on a consistent improvement. All right, guys, peace, and I'll see you later.